Ganguly, Tendulkar, Kohli, Laxman and crew decimated by James Pattinson. Welcome wherever you're listening around Australia. Welcome to our WA viewers around the world. As this man wanders into where we are, the Australian dressing rooms, he's dressed in the Sydney gear, and he's what we call in footy, when he played cricket, a bums on seats
An
man.
entertainer.
An entertainer. People used to come to the cricket to watch this man bowl. He's bigger than Ben-Hur. I can't give you a bigger build-up than that, Jimmy. Great to see you. How you going?
Thanks, Howie. Great to be here. Lovely to be back in the SCG change rooms.
Well, tell us a bit about these rooms. Like, we look around, there's scoreboards of Bradman making 452. There's the War Brothers here putting on 400 odd. But
There's
these
a handwritten quote from Sir Donald Bradman,
which says,
I can't read it from here, Howie, but it's got the Don's signature on it. Jimmy, what in these change rooms representing Australia, you can feel the history. You go out and take 5 wickets on the SCG. That must be something that stayed with you forever.
Yeah, definitely. Like just listening to that now brings back memories. It's a long time ago. It doesn't think like that it was probably, what was it, 2012? 2012. So what's that, 12 years ago? Bloody hell. Showing me age now. But yeah, look, I remember being a 21-year-old kid in here playing with Ponting. And that game was actually when Michael Clarke made 330 against India. And Punter made 100 and Mike Hussey made 100 as well. So it was a pretty special game. I remember sitting in these change rooms for a while, doing not much after taking a few wickets and sitting there just piling on runs. I think we got through the third new ball and went out there and took a few wickets. So it was a pretty memorable test match.
so what is it like walking into these rooms as victorious Australian test side? Like we mentioned, Bradman, the Chappells, Simpson, they've all been in these rooms. Border's been in this room. As a kid, what's it like sitting in here? Do you get your own locker? How does it all work?
Yeah, well, I think the guys who were regulars in the team, I was sort of new then, so I got put somewhere. I think I was actually near the toilet, I reckon. I was probably near there. So, yeah, but yeah, it was an amazing time. Like you said, you look around these change rooms, and they're probably one of the original change rooms left. I think now a lot of them are, modernised and stuff. But this has really got the heritage to it. It's got all the, the people that have been here, and when you walk in and see your baggy green just hung up on the little hook there, and all the guys' gloves laying around and the bags and stuff like that. It's fantastic.
What's the mindset of a bloke like yourself when you go out, you get the new Kookaburra and you come in and steaming in against some of the greatest batsmen that we've ever seen in the modern era?
Yeah, I think back then I was just a naive young kid from Dufton. So, look, I had no expectation really, and that was the beauty of it. I think that's probably the most I enjoyed my cricket back then, because, I came in with no expectation. I could just come in, and I remember in the rooms out the back here, Murray Erasmus was the umpire, and he gave me a warning before this test match about carrying on too much at the MCG. So, I was writing the umpire's books before I'd even started. So,
Say you've taken 2 wickets in a row. You're steaming in out here at the SCG, might be the MCG, and you're on your hat trick, and you get the edge. It's going to first or second slip. Who in the Australian team when you played do you want taking that catch?
Well, I was lucky. Like one thing that I look back on my career now, and when I debuted up at the Gabba and took 5 for my first Test match, and I had Ricky Ponting taking catches. And if you ever see Ricky Ponting, he catches with his fingers up, and it's just an iconic sight. So, I had a couple of catches from him where he's just sitting there, the ball's going to hit him straight in the gob, but he's got his mitts there, just catching the ball. So for me, looking back and with those sort of players, like I was really lucky to play against. Like I think we just went past some of the highlights, and Tendulkar, even though it was a chop on, you can't see that on radio, but it was a dirty wide chop on. So, but that's something that I look back on, and that was probably an aging batting order back then. They were getting on a little bit, so but they were still, they've probably the best batting lineup to ever play, sort of when they're all playing as a collective.
James, you played with a genuine aggression and vibrancy and a bounce and an energy, which I think all Australian supporters love. When you look at some of the cricket and even some of the sport at the highest levels these days, have we changed a little bit? Is there still a place to try and hurt people within the spirit of the game, within the contest?
Yeah, look, I think the one thing with cricket is played so much now as well. There's no break, and I suppose I was sort of starting to feel that towards the end when I was injured a lot, but there was just one tournament to next tournament to the next tournament, so it's hard for you to keep that sort of, I suppose, that spice and that aggression up, because sometimes the boys are getting tired and stuff. But yeah, I sort of felt like it was sort of transitioning out. I know when I first started, it was, I had Brad Haddon behind the keeper telling me to get stuck up in him and all this sort of thing, and you're crazy, keep it going and stuff like that. And that's silly. So when he left, it was sort of like, no, you can't do that sort of thing. So, look, I had coaches tell me that I probably probably played the game a little bit too late. I suppose probably should have played a little bit earlier, and you could have done some
With
of
the
that
Chapels and the Wolves. Yeah.
Yeah, with Dennis Lee kicking the stumps over.
Hey, Jimmy, before we let you go, you're here with your great mate Pat Cummins tonight. I noticed him on the coverage last week. Is he a dyed-in-the-wool Swans supporter, or is he one of these Sydney-siders, like the politicians in this part of the world, when the Swans start flying, all of a sudden they find a scarf and beanie and turn up?
Yeah, well, I think he had his GWS scarf on last week. So,
Yes.
but I actually texted him as soon as I can't get tickets anymore because I've got no pull. But I said the best-looking Australian captain can surely get me a couple of tickets. So, yeah, he's come through with the goods. So, thanks, Pat.
Hey, just as we let you go, how did you feel when your brother rang you and said, right, I'm going to go and play for England?
He didn't ring me. I wasn't speaking to him then. He was overseas. So
Right.
I don't think he really had a chance to think about it. It was just thrown in. And the next morning he went off to, I think it was Headingley where it was played. And then he says he regrets every minute of doing it. So,
Does he really?
yeah, he regrets it.
Hey, Jimmy, we appreciate your time. You on the Swans tonight?
Absolutely, always. Mighty Swans, mate. They've been fantastic this year. It's my first game coming up here to watch them. So, yeah, hopefully
Are
we
you
can...
a Swans supporter
Yes, yep, absolutely.
tonight or in general?
Oh, mate, I've been Swan supporter
Really?
for
Okay. Favourite player of all time from the Swans?
Tony Lockett, definitely.
Tony Lockett.
Yeah.
All right, Jimmy, great to see you. Thanks for taking us
Questioning
around
Jimmy's
these rooms.
bona fides.
No,
there.
only
Yeah,
because
Hey,
Sounded-
was.
yeah,
Good luck.
Sound
How
like
many
an
Swans
auditor
have
from the
Been a bit of
tax
a nice guy.
only because our producer Tunner said, Jimmy Pattinson goes for the Dogs. So again, I shouldn't listen to our producer.
Oh, he's
mate.
just put
Great to see
snorkeling.
you. Well, as if you blokes haven't been putting people in tonight. The first segment.
No, we're
you blokes
trying not
aren't.
to.
Own your
We're trying-
mistakes, mate. Own your mistakes.
Jimmy, great to see you. Enjoy the footy tonight, and we'll see you on grand final over the Swans.
Cheers, thanks, Howie.
Okay, for McDonald's and Ream Hot Water, plenty to come as we lead up to Sydney taking on Port Adelaide.